Hola, good morning. Welcome to another session of character modeling with me, Steve Moore, aka S'more. You join me today in Molina. This is one of my favorite spots in California, and we're taking things up a little bit. So this week we're going to get straight into it. We're going to be taking our model from Marvel's Designer into ZBrush, and I have a few tips and tricks I've picked up regarding that, so it should be fun. And yeah, so we're going to get straight into that, but stick around to the end of the video because a little Easter egg, a little surprise for you guys. I hope you like it. So please stay towards the end, and with that, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Alright, so here we are in ZBrush, and if you watched the last episode, at the very end, I just touched on the need to quadrate your mesh. So by default, Marvelous Designer spits out a bunch of triangles, and if we turn on the draw polyframe tool here with the line on, you'll see not only are they triangles, they're a bunch of five-sided patches, right? And this is absolutely the worst thing for sculpting on. If you're building a mesh that you intend to subdivide, as a rule you want things to be quads as much as possible. Now, and just to show you what the problem is here, if we go and subdivide this mesh a couple of times, what you're seeing is all these horrible lumpy artifacts that we don't want, right? So let's just return to Marvelous Designer for a second and take a look at the export options. All right, so with all the pieces that comprise your jacket selected, under the property editor, be sure to set the particle distance to something around 5. So what we're doing is we're decreasing the particle distance, which is increasing the number of particles needed for the simulation, right? So what we're doing is we're adding resolution to our jacket, and I'm going with 5 because any higher and it's really going to bog things down. So I think 5 is probably a good number to shoot for. So yeah, as I've emphasized, we really don't want tries, so we are going to quadrate this mesh. To do that, you will go up to the edit menu and drag down to find the context menu, then choose 3D garment, and finally choose quadrate. Now once you do this, the machine is going to start simming again, and you're going to see a little synchronize bar come up. This will take a while, so it's a good time to get a cup of coffee. And just let it do its thing, and once it's finished, we are ready to export. Okay, so to export this garment into ZBrush, of course you'll have the garment itself selected, nothing else, and you're going to go up to File, drag down to Export, and choose OBJ selected. Alright, so after you click Save, this dialog box is going to open up, and we're going to choose some options here that might seem counterintuitive, but it'll all make sense in the end. So rather than single object, for example, we're going to go with multiple objects. We're going to choose unweld, and we're going to use thin rather than thick. And just a heads up, save this version of your Marvelous Designer file off. If you're modeling your character, following along here with me, save a version right now as a branch, and we will come back and we're going to export. In the future, we will export another version, like a lower res version, that we're going to use to leverage making our game res model. But for now, multiple objects, unweld, thin. I'm using centimeters, that's because that's the units the character is modeled in, and click OK. Alright, so to begin, we're going to import the quadrated mesh, and therefore I've loaded up the model. It's a good idea ZBrush historically has had some issues with scale, and having been burnt by that back in the day, I always make sure, just for peace of mind, that I import new meshes, new parts into the model file itself. Even if I'm going to work on it independently, I'll start by importing it into the scene. So to do this, we're going to go up to Subtool Master, Multi-Append, and we're going to find models. There we go. So here we go. This is my quadrated mesh. Click on Open. All right. So got that. Let's just hide everything else. It's going to be at the bottom of the stack here. Click on that layer and turn everything off. Okay, so now let's take a look at this puppy. So turning on the polyframe again, and yes, we still have some patches, but you'll notice that generally now we have nice quads, nice polygons. And if I were to smooth that now, you'll see much less. It's not perfect, but there's much less artifacts. You particularly notice it around the edges here. It's a lot smoother. This is going to be much better for sculpting on. So undo that. Okay, and here's the deal. Actually, turning back on the polygroups for a second. So because we've exported this mesh as separate pieces, it's literally broken into individual panels, and we want that because later on we're going to extract these panels and give them some thickness, right? But before we do that, you'll notice again, if I smooth it, you start to lose some volume. The edges pull away, and we want to retain that volume. And the way we're going to do that is basically polygroups, or not polygroups. We're going to go up to the edge loop menu, and we're going to use edge loops. Okay, so we're going to use edge loops, but before we do that, let's extract these metal studs from the leather jacket, because we want to just work on the leather jacket. So the way I'm going to do that is if you Control Shift click and then click on an individual panel, you isolate that, and then you can control and drag a mask around that, right? So then all we have to do is repeat that process till we get everything but our studs. So I'll just go around this model. A little bit tedious, but we'll get there. By the way, so once you Control Shift and click to isolate, mask, and then once you've done that again, just Control Shift and click in space to unhide the rest of the polygroups. So now we have all the leather masked. They're still individual polygroups. So to fix that, we'll go up to the polygroup menu here. I'm just going to turn off wireframe so it's easier to see, and we're going to choose Group Masked here, and that groups all the leather panels into one piece. They're still separate meshes, but they are at least one polygroup. And now if we, by the way, when we group to masked, you might have noticed if I turn off polygroups now, that now all the studs are masked automatically, right? So now all we have to do is group mask one more time, and we have all the little studs and the eyes down here. They're now one polygroup. So we just got two polygroups. Fantastic. So all we need to do now is separate those suckers. So under the subtool menu, you go down to split, and you see group split here. So you hit group split, and you go, okay, it's undoable. I'm okay with that. And voila, we now have studs, jacket, studs, jacket. Cool. And I'll just rename that so I don't lose track of what's what. Easy to do. And jacket. And now we can hide those studs and just focus on the jacket. Oh, but we've lost our polygroups. Not to worry. Let me clear that mask. Back to polygroups, and you have this really nice feature here called auto groups. So if we click on auto groups, voila, we get all our individual panels back again. and that's what we want right now. Cool. I'm going to leave that single-sided. Oops, I missed a piece. So when I was combining the jacket, I forgot about this one little piece here. By the way, if you click on a panel and you mask a spot like just like that, it pivots. It makes that the center point for the camera. So that's a nice way to navigate in ZBrush if you're trying to spin around something. But anywho, turning back on that jacket. So all we need to do is weld this stray piece here back into the jacket, and that's a good opportunity to mention, we've split something, but what about when you want to combine things? Okay, so in this case, we're going to use the merge option, which is right below split, but beware, these down here you have this option to weld, and if that was on, if you turned that on or it was already on and you were to merge these two pieces, ZBrush is going to weld the points of this piece here into the jacket, and we don't want that. We want to keep them separate, right? So we're going to merge, being sure that weld is turned off, and we'll just clear the mask, kind of superstition, but I'm going to clear the mask and merge down, and I'm okay with undoable. And there we go. So now that's still its own poly group, and everything else, just want to make sure is by itself. Bear with me for a second. Yeah, so okay, so now we've got all our poly groups and we've got our studs isolated. That's good. So let's just focus on the jacket here again, and we're going to look at edge loops now. Okay, so under geometry, you'll find this menu, edge loops, and we're going to use the edge loop option. Now, FYI, you also have group loops, and group loops are cool because you can group the whole thing at once. I mean, you can put edge loops around the whole, all the different poly groups at one time. The caveat though is that, and I'll just show you real quick, when you do that, what it's going to do is it's going to kind of like acid wash the corners. It's going to have a tendency to round out the corners, and even if you turn the polish all the way down to 0, it's still going to do basically the same thing. So we're not going to use group loops. So the nice thing about edge loops is that it will preserve those corners. The caveat is that edge loops wants to work on one individual piece at a time. So kind of like when we were poly grouping the whole thing, we had to go through each piece. Similarly with the edge loops, we will have to click on a panel and then run edge loop. But you can see the advantage here. It's made nice, it's kept the corners, and it's just put a single loop around there. And what that loop is going to do for us is when we subdivide the mesh, it's going to preserve the corners better, right? Okay, so with that, I will just go around all the little panels and hit edge loop. Same process as before, kind of hiding and unhiding the individual panels. Almost there. Didn't take that long, I think in the computer age we're kind of spoiled, like any hint of manual labor and we freak out. But sometimes it's nice to kind of zone out, just to because art it's a craft, but it takes some mental arithmetic. It takes some, it is simultaneously a craft and an intellectual pursuit, because when you're trying to be creative or problem solve, you're thinking pretty hard, and then on the flip side, there's moments where perhaps you're unwrapping a model, doing UVs or just edge looping this thing, and it's you just zone out, you just listen to some music or what have you. So there, I think we've got the whole thing. Cool. On to the next stage. So I made a slight faux pas when I was adding these edge loops. Full disclosure, I'm recording this in the morning and I'm probably like half awake here. Um, I should have, so right now I have this panel and I also have this edge loop. They're two separate polygroups. If I'd been smarter, I would have taken the whole thing as I went. I would have been grouping those, but that's okay. I can still fix it. And don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit through me fixing that. Just to let you know. Okay, so all I'm going to do is go through, grab these big panels, and then grab the smaller edge loop that I created, and just go through and once again just group masked, and that will fix that. So we're about to add some thickness using the extract feature, but before I do that, there's one more thing I want to do to the mesh. So we've added edge loops to the individual panels so that we can retain those corners. And just to kind of double down on that, what I've found through trial and error is that if you go down to the geometry pad right here, we're going to subdivide it one more time, but we're going to turn off the smooth modifier. And so what that does is it's going to tessellate it, but it's not going to interpolate the mesh, meaning when we tessellate it, it's basically just going to add density without smoothing things out. And you might be worried that, oh, we're going to get a lumpy mesh, but actually no. The extract feature has a tendency to kind of acid wash everything, and so this is actually going to give us some pretty nice results. So I've gone and I've tessellated it, and now once again going to the extract feed panel down here, the default settings are fine, except we want to, and this will be a bit of trial and error based on the scale of your mesh. So I've found that I think I want my thickness to be about 0.001, and that's working for this mesh built in real world kind of scale. So oops, I've lost that. So anyway, so we'll hide. We're going to do this on the individual panels once again, and the reason for that is if you extract the whole thing, you're going to extract a single mesh. We want to keep the details created by having these things as separate panels. So I'm hiding everything else out, and I'm going to mask that panel, go down to the thickness, again where I screwed up, 0.001, and hit extract. Now before you do anything, assuming you're happy with it, click accept. And now you'll see up in the subtool menu, we've got a new tool called Extract 1, right? And that is, there's the jacket. If I unhide everything, here's our jacket, original mesh. We still have it, hasn't gone away. And now we have this new panel that we've just extracted. And as an added bonus, you'll notice that it's created a polygroup for the interior. That's a good thing. We want that. That's going to be useful, for example, when you're retopologizing. If you're retopologizing in Maya, the modeling tools don't play well with surfaces that are very close together. So having the ability to basically hide the interior and just project onto the exterior is going to be useful. So we want to keep that. And so now all we have to do is go back to the old jacket here and get the next panel. Same thing. Our settings have been saved. Extract, accept. Cool. And now, so what you've got here, you'll notice, I'll unmask that, is there's a subtle gap there, but that's actually that's much more realistic, and yeah, the corners start to pull away a little bit, but not to worry. You could just grab them, when we're done, we'll just grab the we could grab the move tool and we could just fix that, but won't worry about that for now. So I'm just going to go around our jacket and just get all those different pieces there. Okay, now we've finished extracting all the individual panels and our jacket has some thickness. Now you might have noticed conspicuously absent are the zippers we made it back in Marvelous Designer. Now, the reason for that is the big advantage as far as making it a high res garment, the advantage we got from Marvelous Designer was posing the zipper, having a more natural appearance, having the cuffs maybe half open or something like that. So, but the reality is that the zippers that Marvelous Designer creates are simply a bump map. So for this model, I am going to leverage the actual little pull tab that comes with the zipper from Marvelous Designer. But for our actual zippers, we're going to use an IMM brush. And speaking of that, so coming up, yeah, so now we've got a nice foundation to sculpt on. We've got some really fun stuff to look forward to in the next episodes. I'm going to show you, for example, how to make a nice bump map using the depth map that the BPR renderer spits out. And with that, it's time for our Easter egg this week. Okay, so welcome to my home, and this is my little Easter egg. Typically I like to put some art Easter eggs in my videos, as you guys probably know if you've been watching them so far. But this week we're changing it. I wanted to do something a little different because I've been talking to a new friend, one of my subscribers, JDJR, and we've been just talking back and forth on email. And he gave me, and he was just sharing a bit about his life. He's studying game design right now, and he was telling me a bit about his situation right now, and it reminded me so much of myself when I started out. I've been in this industry for 20 years now, and when I was a teenager, I really didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't think that I could didn't believe I could make a living as an artist. So, I went to college and I tried all kinds of things, architecture, psychology, all kinds of stuff. And I ultimately came to the realization, I think, that, in order to succeed in something, whatever you're going to do, you really have to love it. Like, if you're going to be a programmer, you need to be somebody who, it doesn't matter if you were taking a course or not, you'd get up and you'd go program because you like doing that, right? So, I, like probably a lot of you guys, I love art. I love to draw, paint, sculpt, the whole bit. And, hey baby. So anywho, so JD sent me about 6 questions, and I'm not going to try and answer them all here, but I'll give you an example. Like, what is life like to be an artist? What does it take to be an artist? And what to do when you're facing difficulty learning new software. Number 4, what is the current industry like? That's an interesting one. What is it? Is it easy to get a job or make money and to support your family? And lastly, he asked, what is the future of the industry? So I'm not going to get to all these. I think this could be a standalone video, but I thought at least try to address a couple. I thought maybe an interesting thing would be, what is it easy to get a job and support your family? Because I think that's a good one. Yeah. I think yes, honestly. But of course, so I've been working in this industry for a while, and I think I would say, it takes, I think typically, if between jobs, it might take me about 2 or 3 months to find another job, right? So you always want to have like an emergency fund, some money kind of stocked away. So, for example, I was working at Telltale and they shut down rather abruptly. Luckily, I've been saving, I save every month for my retirement, and you don't really want to do this, but I did. So I tapped my retirement fund, and that kind of carried me over until I got my current job at Ubisoft. But yeah, you can make good money in this industry. The games industry needs a lot of artists. They need a lot of engineers, and they need concept artists. They need character modelers, they need animators. It's a lot of work making a video game. So that's the good news. I think if you've got the skills, yeah, you can get a job. And I would say, to become an artist, like, what does it take to, be an artist? Practice, right? And so the thing, here's the thing. I notice a lot of kids these days, they'll go into, like, I have one friend, man, and he left art school with like $100,000 in debt, and man, you don't need to do that, right? So the biggest takeaway I got from art school is that art is a skill that you can learn. It's a craft that you can learn by doing it, and you can teach yourself. I mean, I would say the same thing about programming too. If you're passionate about anything, you can teach yourself, right? So, you might have heard this adage that it's your portfolio that will get you the job, and that is the truth. Now, let's be real here. So, I think the other thing I got out of art school it was the time to just focus and work on art and be surrounded by other people, like-minded people that inspire you, to work harder. So, so you can do it, but it takes discipline, right? You're gonna have to work. Like when I was in art school, like I blew off all my assignments to the absolute last minute, and I went to every single drawing workshop there was. And because I realized that, like, drawing, right? I mean, you can be a computer artist, you can be, working in ZBrush, but drawing is like the foundations of all visual arts. So I went to every single drawing workshop, and I went to the fashion workshops, I went to the fine art workshops, I went to illustration. Anywhere there was a model posing, I'd be there and I'd be drawing, right? These days I'll fire up the computer. I don't go to so many life drawing workshops anymore, but I'll fire up the computer and I love to get like a movie, for example. I'll put a DVD on, or I'll go to YouTube and I'll find some cool footage, maybe some lions, running through the savannah, and I'll freeze frame that on interesting poses, and I'll just sketch that. So you don't necessarily need to go to a life drawing workshop. You can, these days you just draw right off the computer, and I honestly think that's just as valuable, because the trick is, what you want to do is a lot of quick studies, like a lot of quick drawings. But I digress anyway. But there you go. So I think, in summary, art's a skill that you can learn. I think a lot of people think that you need to have talent, and I say talent is basically equal to passion, right? If you're passionate about something, whatever it is, maybe it's surfing, right? And you love it so much, man, you're going like every single day and you're just doing it because you love it, you're gonna get better. And I think that's basically what talent is. It's like 99% of talent is passion. And maybe there's 1% that you might have some unique attribute about your personality or your physicality that gives you an edge. But I also, kind of on the flip side, think that everyone has an edge. They just have to find it. So there you go. I hope if you guys like hearing me talk about this stuff. Let me know, and I might do like a standalone video and just kind of go into my kind of philosophy and experience of this art, and my philosophy of art and my experience of the games industry. I love being an artist. It's like, even if I'm not getting paid for it, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to draw. I mean, that's what I do every morning before I even go to work, right? I'll get up in the morning and I'll get out my sketch pad and I'll just do some little drawings and stuff. I'll be on the bus sketching ideas and stuff. I love it. And I think that's what to really make it, that's what you need. You just need a passion for it. Whatever it is in life that you want to do, if you have a passion for it, you're going to be able to succeed, and you are going to be able to make money. I think honestly that's your best chance of success, is just having that passion. But anyway, I think that's all for me. I've been dribbling on for quite a while, so sorry about that. And but if you like my videos, subscribe, hit the notification button, like everyone on YouTube says that, but really makes a difference. As I see more subscribers, kind of it just energizes me. And so thank you everyone who subscribed, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy modeling.
Ciao.